welcome to the very first episode of the Jarrett Cast. I'm your host, Jarrett Lang, and I'm not a narcissist, I promise. Jarrett Cast is going to be a podcast where I'm going to talk about movies, things relating to movies. I might sprinkle in a couple episodes about different things relating to other things. It really depends on what I'm feeling or whenever I write this up. For the first episode of the Jarrett Cast, I want to start off with a film that I personally cherish. A film that is anchored in the dark lagoon that is my heart. And that film is the 1954 classic Creature from the Black Lagoon. Let's dive right in with the plot of the film. The film centers around a team of researchers who are searching for the bones of a creature that is like half human and half fish / lagoon person. You know, it's pretty crazy. It was the 50s. And some fishy things happen due to the creature who we shall call Gilman. And soon after, Gilman finds love in one of the researchers, and mayhem ensues. To review this film, I had to really grab it by the gills and look at the details, look past the nostalgia that I look back at it with. And overall, without the nostalgia, I have to say this film is pretty good. The film treads water pretty well with its archetypal plot weighing it down a bit. The archetypal plot is really just monster meets girl, monster kidnaps girl, monster meets end in some way. It shares the plot with a lot of other monster movies like King Kong and The Mummy. There's a lot of kidnapping in those movies. So where this film floats in that aspect is with the characters and how they interact, because researchers are really the prey to the creature. The creature outsmarts them in different ways. It really reminds me of Predator, which came out after this film. The plot was really engaging, and I was interested in the plot for the entire film. I could really get into it. You know, I didn't even notice the time passed while watching it. Another thing that this film is really critical about is the pacing. The film doesn't swim too fast, where I don't even know what's happening anymore. I can't really dissect it enough, but it's not slow to the point where I'm just bored out of my mind and wishing a scene would end. The pacing's really good. The acting in this film was well done. I was interested in the characters and their goals, and I didn't even really see any flaws in it that much. Maybe a couple characters were just, there for just dying, and they really didn't do that much with the plot, but it didn't really drag it down that much. If you know what you're going into, you'll realize it. The acting for Gilman is really, really good. They had two different actors who played Gilman. They had Ben Chapman, who did the land scenes, who portrayed the scary aspect of Gilman. He was on land, he was killing people. He really did his job in that sense, and he even went above and beyond with it. He really portrayed the scariness of it. I could feel the tension. The other half of Gilman comes with Rico Browning, who did the underwater scenes. And the acting there is just crazy. I didn't think such physical acting could be done underwater. It was just creepy, and the tension was there with Rico just swimming along and just lurking underwater. The underwater scenes of him fighting with the other people, just really good. I can't gush about the underwater acting. It's good. I love it. Another thing I love about this film is the visual aspects of it. The cinematography is just good. Even if you discount the underwater scenes, it really just gives it the horror movie feeling. You have close-ups on people screaming, and it enhances the campiness of it, but I liked it. Another thing I liked was the look of Gilman. He looks like his name suggests. Just a man covered in fish-like traits, gills, webbed hands, webbed feet, scaly. Looked scary in some sense, because you wouldn't really see that. Another thing about Gilman is that he gets enough screen time. He's not just there for the movie for 25 minutes and then he just pops out until the end. He's there. He's an active character in it. I like to compare this with the American-made Godzilla film, where Godzilla is there for 2 fight scenes, and then everything else really revolves around the human characters, which was one of the reasons that I really didn't like the film in some sense was there was not enough Godzilla in the film. But in this film, there's enough Gilman. There's the perfect amount of Gilman. Not too much, but not too little. To close off the review, I'd just like to say I'd suggest watching this film. It's a Universal monster film, so it's going to be a little campy in some sense, but it's still something that I feel like people should watch, especially with the underwater scenes. So, now to dry off with some news about Gilman in the future of film. Ever since the film's release, there have been buzzes about remakes of Creature from the Black Lagoon, but nothing really ever came of it. The last time Gilman was a central character in a film, and that even central is a really loose term, was in the film Monster Squad in 1987, which was just about a bunch of kids defending their town from the Universal monsters. It wasn't that special. Gilman looked a lot different in that film, too. However, since Universal is starting up its new dark universe with The Mummy, there have been news about some Universal Monsters movies getting a reboot. The next one coming out is The Bride of Frankenstein, which is slated for a 2019 release date. But along that, with a couple of other Universal Monsters getting the reboot treatment, is The Creature from the Black Lagoon. So there is a high hope of Gilman returning to the big screen, which I hope will be a good film that does justice to the original, since The Mummy did not, especially to the 1992 one. So that closes off the very first episode of the Jarrett Cast. I hope you had a gilly good time listening. I'm sorry for the bad joke. Bye.